Must be nuts. Hello, everyone. You there, guys? Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We had some technical difficulties.
Oh,
Technical difficulties.
but they usually go away.
Yeah, I've been trying to get on for 35 minutes, mate.
Oh, really? Oh.
Good to see you. Hello, Brendan. Broads. Logs. You looking good today, Plusy. Dicko. James is there. All right. That is something that Bates and I have been preparing and working on for quite some time. We remember what we're going to talk about? I can't even see our heads. Why can't we see our heads? Usually when we talk, can you guys see us?
Yeah. No.
You need to put your camera on, Dave.
What camera on, mate? What
We'll turn it off.
No. Thank you. Mate, we're having big problems today. The Zoom is playing absolutely up today. Here we go. All right, there we go. You got me and Batesy. And remember what we're talking about, Greg?
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm probably there. And put your hand up if you heard sick of talking about a changing market. Everyone's sick of talking about a changing market. Everyone, Brendan, you sick of talking about a changing market? Anyone starting to get a little bit depressed about talking about a changing market? Cool. Everyone's getting a little bit sick of talking about having tough conversations with vendors. Yeah, everyone a little bit sick of it. Yeah, cool. All right. So why don't we get a little bit positive today? We're going to do a little bit of a around the grounds. I'm going to start with Greg. Can someone, you guys mute whoever's not muted, please? Please in. Hello, mate. I've got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Mate, how many hours do you reckon you put in to get an MA? Roughly.
There's indirectly and directly. When I say indirectly, you got your market reports.
Yeah, if you think about every MA and the amount of time you spend chasing, what do you reckon the rough hours are?
Oh, fuck. Oh, excuse me. I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest with you. It's
hours.
It's immeasurable. It's hours. Yeah, absolutely.
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. What's the longest you worked on a listing where you it took how many years you reckon from the moment you first spoke to the client that you actually finally signed it up?
One when I left First National, that was basically about 12, 13 years.
Thanks, Plusy. Bros, you want to answer that question now?
Yeah, I reckon something about 9 to 10 years from the start to finish. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot, Bros. How much time you spent on your listing presentation this week?
Not enough.
Probably none.
Probably pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be in the same boat, I reckon, if I went right around the grounds. So you spent 9 years working on this poor bastard to list their property, and you just go in on a, I'm exaggerating, but you just go on a, you just turn up. So, any Panthers supporters here? On here at all? No. But mate, Panthers, their coach, Bros, you know a little bit about footy.
Yep.
Their coach is pretty special, yeah?
Yep.
So how ready do you reckon the Panthers were on the weekend?
Oh, like beyond ready. They were just,
cool.
Yep.
So with all that time and 9 years, don't you reckon a listing presentation's like fucking grand final day?
Definitely.
So today, what I want to do is just talk to different people and not just hear from me, because I get sick of hearing from me. And I'm going to start with Batesy. And the first question of Batesy, mate, what's a little tip that works for you in a listing presentation?
My little tip is before I go into, I get there real early. I get there like 15 minutes early. I sit in the car and I go through.
But you don't sit out the front like a stalker. Do you skip one straight away, or do you sit out?
No, fucking right out the front of the house.
Okay, I reckon that's a bit awkward. I'd rather you be a little bit down the street.
Yeah.
But anyway, cool. Let's keep going. Yep.
Yeah. So and get myself mentally prepared and make sure my energy's right too. So I think that's
cool. All right. I like that. Okay. So you get there. And so like when I used to do jewelry auctions, I had to get there a couple of hours before I actually called it, and I didn't do any prep. So I just basically got up there and auctioned. So I don't know. I used to always get the shits way to get there anyway. I had to get there. So I used to spend all my time working on my developments, and developments is around money, and it's harsh and it's stressful. And then next minute I'm getting up and selling $120,000 Tanzanite piece. So before I get up, I used to joke. I used to slap myself, muck around with the girls. Used to think it was hilarious. I'd roll my sleeves up, and you've heard me say this before, but I'd start saying words like exquisite, amazing, stunning, beautiful, and I'd put myself in that mode. So I think, guys, sometimes, and girls, sometimes we've just dealt with a difficult buyer. You might have been drilled by me. Maybe Jake's asking you for your accountability email. You're a different mind. So what you're basically saying is you get in that listing mindset out the front. You get totally prepared. You look at the sales. You get ready. And when you go in there, you're in listing zone mode.
Correct. That's
Cool.
it.
Mute, guys. Mute, please. All righty. Brendan. What's the little...
Do you want me to? Oh, you're not going to do it anyway.
All right, whoever's on the phone, guys.
Tell it anyway.
Hayley, you need to mute, please.
Brendan,
Okay. Yes.
what little tip you use?
Finding out as much as you can about the person before you go there, if you can. Because I think
What do you mean by that?
well, sometimes you like to do a bit of stalking on social media, etc., to find out
That's
a bit
great.
about them.
Yep.
Because I think connection's probably number one. If you're not going to connect with them, I don't think it matters what you say or what you do. That's something I often do.
Well, Napoleon used to tell me it's like picking someone up. That's why Brendan's got it. Brendan,
Well,
today, he's the only one on Zoom. What do you call the freaking filters? He's the only one with a filter on Zoom. Hey, I'll have a coffee with you, Brendan.
Good preparation.
All right, so you're doing stalking, and your tip, if I'm going to answer for you, your tip is to make sure that very quickly, early on in that listing presentation, you're looking for rapport and connection. Yeah. Cool. Pleasey. Tip.
Knowing your
time.
patch and knowing where, studying that before you go out, so you've got some idea of exactly what sold down the street, and what it delivered versus the house that you're going into. And I try to get as much information about the house before the one I'm appraising.
That's a really good thing, Brendan.
Yeah.
You bought in his patch, yeah?
Pleasy's patch, yeah.
How comfortable would you been having a chat with Pleasy about his patch and the sale and whether you're paying the right price?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think
And
I did have
I
a
would-
few chats with him.
And I would say out of the group, Pleasy would be right up there with, if I was looking to buy in Shelley, I would know that Pleasy probably knows that house. He probably even knows who owns it. He probably know what it sold for, and he would make me feel 1,000,000% comfortable. So Pleasy, that's a great little segue. So how well do you know your patch? I know Broads knows Evans really well. You know what I mean? He knows the people and the neighbours, and he's probably related to them. But there's some level there, you know what I mean? That comfort, people are looking, connections, one thing. But also we can go try too hard. Oh, you look the football. Oh, you play footy, mate, blah, blah, blah. And you 1,000,000 questions. Like, wait a second, mate. Like, I fucking just got you in to give me an appraisal. But if you can talk with confidence and make people feel comfortable and safe that you know the patch, that's awesome. Thank you. These are some great tips. Good to see you smiles writing them all down, mate. Really good to see you writing them all down. You and James, great to see you taking notes. Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful. Jakey, tip. What worked for you?
What worked for me when I started off my career was working the buyers.
Cool. But how about actually in the listing presentation?
Connection and asking a lot of questions as you go through, trying to find as much as you can out about them, and what their motivation is. As you go through the house, asking different questions about different things, noticing different things. One thing Rick really taught me was to open my eyes when you're going through a listing, when you're going through a listing appointment or a market appraisal. Actually open your eyes and notice things. Are the husband's things in the built-in still? Look at the bathroom. Who's got things in the bathroom? Look at those things. And then we found that, I remember my first time when we went through an appraisal together. It was actually a divorce and I didn't pick it up, but he did because he said, did you notice all the husband's stuff wasn't in the wardrobe? So
Yeah.
he said, well, now we've got to be much more aggressive going into this because this is a divorce. They're not price checking us. They're actually going through a divorce and that was a listing appointment and you didn't even pick that up. And that was a huge wake up call for me.
Yeah. And with those questions, I've got a thing, like if you ask me 3 questions like in a row, my guard goes up. I'm like, mate, like I know where you're going here. When what Jake's talking about, those questions, they're really a conversation. They're really a conversation, but you're gathering information to continue the conversation. It's not like, oh, when did you buy the house? Oh, did you do a reno in the bathroom? Oh, cool. You know, I've noticed that you just built it. It's like, oh, wow, look at your stunning home. Great. Who'd you actually get in to do your design? Oh, you did the design yourself. That's incredible. Wow. Have you always loved design? Yes, I have. Blah, blah. It's leading a conversation with questions, not, oh, when did you build the house? When did you put the balcony? You know what I mean? It's a very different type. And if you guys can imagine, like, think of the last person that asked you like 3 questions in a row. Yeah. Without actually sort of building it into a conversation, is annoying as hell. And what you're also saying there is you're gathering more information. When you're looking, you're gathering information. Cool.
Exactly, because then it'll then tell me what path do I go down in the listing appointment. Where do we go? And I think, I mean, I've been to appraisals and listing appointments with most of you on the screen, and I think you'll notice when I go through I'm very conversational. In fact, I like to have a chat with them. It's not like I go through with a clipboard and try and ask questions, because that's how you disarm people.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even know you're actually asking. You're actually having a conversation, but you're leading it. Dicko.
Morning.
Yeah. What's your tip? Listing tip?
Oh, well, a lot of the tips that I've just heard, but what Jake said about opening his eyes, you've also got to listen and actually. So when you're asking a question or having that conversation,
Sorry,
you've got to listen to what they're saying. And also find out their motivation, why they're selling, where they're going, what they're doing, why they're selling their home.
And on that, it's not always what they're telling you, it's how they're telling you. Oh, like I love an auction day when someone says, oh, we don't need to sell, and they're pacing up and down. Like, okay, no worries. You look real relaxed, sweetheart. You know what I mean? So and what you're saying when you're listening is also looking at body language. It's looking at the tone, it's looking at the pacing, it's looking at all those other things. So it's not normal. It's not always what we're saying, it's the tone and how we go about it.
Absolutely.
Cool. And then how good are you, why Lise Dixon? Like, how good are you at demonstrating your unique selling points?
I don't know, David, how good am I? I'm not a self-proclaimed yes, I don't back myself enough. Okay.
Cool. Well, let's work on that.
But I think once I get in that door and sit down with people, it just comes out and that all goes away. So I'm very comfortable sitting in front of people.
Beautiful. And you're very good at what you do. So
Okay.
I think,
Can I just say something? I've been with Lisa in the lounge room with clients before, and it's all about connection. And
glad you had the client bit in there then.
but
Didn't know where that was going,
Lisa is extremely good, and she just connects, and basically it's all about conversation. So Lisa, I can vouch for that. So you don't blow your own trumpet. You basically have conversations. Yeah.
Thanks for making today's sales training, Lucy. Appreciate the input. Lisa is very good at that. But I think, Lisa, and for people that are watching on, when it's difficult, and look, to say you're good and all that sort of stuff, but it's the stories. Oh, hi, Peter. Oh, this reminds me of the house. Actually, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. What we did is we did X, Y, and Z. They only wanted 9, but because we did X, Y, and Z, they got 950. So the way you demonstrate unique selling points is actually in stories, how you help someone else. I remember when Mrs. Jones, she was really, really nervous through this process. So what we did is A, B, and C, and D. So it's story. How are your stories, Batesy?
They're getting better.
Yeah.
Definitely. Case studies are a powerful thing.
Yeah, really powerful.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we've got some real belters. Alison.
Good morning.
talk to me about your listing presentation. What's your little tip for you?
I've been making a lot of notes here. My tip for me, prior to going in, I like to just get in a bit of a zone. I missed the start with Greg because I was out doing a deal in heels. So that said, I do like to just, whether I get there, get to the property early, do a quick drive around, but then just get in a zone with a bit of a quick meditation. Anyway, probably people think I'm weird. So I do like to just prepare myself.
No, you're weird. It's fine.
So I do that. I love what Dave was saying about know your patch as well. But I think just I think I'm very good at letting people feel at ease quickly, and I think I build trust quickly.
And guys, and I say this with all due respect, you're coming second when you're in a listing presentation against a female agent. Naturally, the energy and the tone and the questions, guys, they do generally, I'm not being sexist, very, very, very good at doing that by nature. So like Marnie Senior, like, mate, when you see her in a listing present, like you just walks in there assuming she's going to get it with the rapport in the chat. So, and a lot of the really good listers, they hardly even talk about property. For me, my tip, if anyone cares, and I was waiting for someone to ask, but I'll happy to give my opinion, is to me, I have a journey of that listing presentation, how I want to go. I remember going once with Brendan and he was so structured, and to actually try and take it on a journey. Like if I went to another listing presentation with Brendan, we'd have a good chat before we went. And I know Brendan's actually loosened up his presentation a lot, but I'm actually going somewhere through the motions, you know? So to me, I'm touching base on private treaty or auction. I'm seeing where they feel at that. I'm trying to get through the price situation. Then I'm trying to get on through to marketing and go through that. And then trying to then lead about why we think we're the best person. And then I'm trying to make steps about how we're going to move forward. That's generally how I do it. If I can move that listing presentation, do that. And the whole time I'm trying to drop seeds why they need to use us along the way in different situations and looking for that. So I think a journey is really important to map out your listing presentation, depending on the client, but generally they'll let you go with that flow. Heathy, other than telling them that they'd be an idiot not to use you, and that you own Southwest Rocks, what's your tip today, buddy?
Well, I have said that once before. However, I don't have any pump up music. Look, I ask many leading questions and to try and establish price, their expectations, before I commit to anything. Because then I want to sort of see if I can work within that range or start downplaying if another agent's overvalued it. So that's the first thing I do is, but, you know, obviously I try to establish a connection with people, whether, you know, something, you know, off topic, but I also never bring up fees. Like my prospective vendors will always bring that up if they do, but I reckon 50% of the time I just sign up and they don't even ask. So I have no price expectations, and I have no price. I don't want to value what I need to do, because I want to charge as much as I can. And but I think that's important. I think Phil's doing really well with that at the moment as well. Here, he certainly signs up at good rates. So, you know, maybe he has learnt from the best. I don't know.
I think we can nearly be apologetic around our fees. But maybe we can do something a bit. Our marketing's this, but if you've got a problem with it, like we nearly make the problem. But yeah. All right, Jakey. I think
I'm interested, Heath, while I've got you, I'd like to do a bit of a role play on the spot with you, if possible, on price. Since you don't talk about it, I would really like to know about this. So let's say we're sitting down, you've gone and had a look at the place. You know, number one question is, okay, so tell me, what do you think it's worth?
Well, look, you know, based on obviously comparable sales, it's worth what someone's prepared to pay for it. What I would prefer to do is actually not limit the property's expectations. Like if I price it to a point, well then, you know, it makes it very difficult to go above it. I mean, yes, you can get above that, but let's just go in with an open mind. I mean, if I tell you, we did it the other week when 13 Rafferty Crescent, and after I left, I said to Phil, I said to, not to Phil, I said to Wes, I said, mate, you haven't asked $1 million question, only because I knew him quite well. He goes, Heath, I don't care what you charge. And I said, all right, fair enough. And we went back to the price to sign him up. And as we walked out, he said, Heath, you haven't asked me my $1 million question. I said, what's that? He said, well, what am I going to take? And I said, I don't give a fuck what you're going to take, Wes. I really don't. I said, because I'm not going to limit that property. If you tell me your property is worth $900,000 and that's what you want, and I deliver 900 grand, is that a good result or a bad result? I reckon it's a bad result because I've just met their expectations. If I present 880 after 5 weeks, and that's the best that person can pay, well, that's the best they can do. However, the price we presented that Phil got was 935. Well, we manipulated a little bit. We got 935, and we got him to say yes, and then we delivered him 965. Yeah, that's a happy vendor.
Okay, so there's some gold in that. All right, there's gold in that, but that's for the younger guys. How he does that is you know, like if anyone's been listening to a presentation of me, it's very unique compared to most people. Heath is going to be very unique.
And that's crafted over 20 years.
Yeah. So, but the gold in the second bit on that was basically, you know, if I go to an agent and they don't talk about, and I ask them what they think they're going to get, and I get a, oh, well, I mean, whatever the market's going to pay, I'm gonna not pick that agent. But his last bit of that dialogue talking about, well, mate, let's not limit it, let's see it. After a period of time, that's what it could be worth. That dialogue is gold, guys. So, you know, what I like, that Michael, what's his name? Koshi, up in Gold, where he basically said, mate, I've been getting it wrong for years. I've been getting it wrong for years. It's not an exact science. It's not an exact science. Let's get it out there. That's why I think, you know, the first week getting buyers through without, you know, database buyers through is the safest option, you know, when you're trying to list the property. And, you know, I used to always use the dialogue. If anyone's in here, you know, promising you a figure, then they're the wrong agent, because, you know, we work with 70 different agents in our team. Everyone would have a different price. And if you said to me, you know, there's $1 million reward if I could pick the exact price, it's not going to happen. It's a lottery. So it's around that type of dialogue. I like that. Who else we got? Who else we got? Brave, are you there, Brave?
Yeah, good morning, Dave.
G'day, buddy. Mate, you've been in the industry 2 minutes. How the hell do you list anything? What's your tip?
Like Pleasy said, probably not as good as Pleasy, but try and know everything that has sold in the area and also everything that's for sale.
And mate, once upon a time, you needed to be a Pleasy. You needed grey hair because there wasn't a thing called the internet. Where now, experience is overrated because, mate, you have the exact amount of you probably got better ability to getting the data than I do. So all that data is, you know, and that's a great answer, Brave. And especially the younger guys, great dialogue is once upon a time, you know, experience was so important, but now with technology, it's really about energy. But keep going. Yep.
No, more just do that. So obviously if they think you're a bit young and you might not know what you're talking about, you've got the evidence there so they can kind of look through it and they believe you more so rather than just going in telling them they're just like, well, he wouldn't know and leave. So if you got it there, you can explain why you think what you're thinking. And then I suppose the marketing is a big thing that I try and push, especially in our area where it can be a bit not as good as what we provide. So try and push that we take pride and try and get it as best as we can.
So if I was, when you're up against a different agent, there's, you know, different reasons what they might be thinking. So Braith, you're young, you might be up against a lady agent, then you might be going up against, you know, 2 other agents. So what I used to try and do is talk about the team, so that you would say, you know, I'm so lucky to work with Leah, and then you'd write really beautiful 3 points why you work with Leah, and then Adam's got a different database, and the fact that 3 of us can do this and how this do this. And what's even more exciting now is that our port team, there's so many people in Port and Wauchope and Lake Caddo that can't afford there anymore. Mate, I'm always getting 2 to 3 emails every couple of days from the team in other offices. And now I get to work with, you know, industry legends like blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So when you're there, you're upbuilding you're talking about your team. And that covers off the experience part.
Yeah. Should use that more, I think.
All right. So we're nearly up to 9 o'clock. So, Greg, sits out the front like a stalker for 15 minutes, but awesome, gets in the zone. Good agents. Alison also, she meditates, gets in the zone, really important. A similar thing when I do auctions, very important to get in that zone. You need to be very present. All right. That meditating actually gets Alison present. But whatever it is, you need, when you walk in there, the only thing that can matter in the world, phones not on, phones turned over, all that sort of stuff. We've talked about getting in the house. When you're in the house, we're very present. We're having a leading conversation. We're noticing things. We're looking to build rapport. Brendan's already stalked them. He knows exactly what they're doing. He's been on their Grinder account, all that sort of stuff. Oh, sorry, I meant Facebook. Sorry, Brendan. But he's got all that information about the client. What did you say, Broads? Where did we get to? What did we say? What were you doing?
A combination of all of that. I'll try and dig up a bit of dirt from the buyers that are active at the moment, and just see if I can find out any information from other sales that are around close by, and whether there's an offer or not. Just and bring that up as proof that you know what's going on in the market and you're the best agent. So, and then exactly the same as the rest. Be present, notice things as you're going through. It's really hard to sort of step back sometimes. Like, I get stuck in a conversation, I'll just keep going, but you really just have to be in the moment, slow down, just be there and take in what's happening, because every listing presentation is totally different. There's no one size fits all. It's about molding yourself to the situation at hand and just taking it as it comes.
And when you're talking a lot, sometimes stop and look at what they do. And if they're looking for more of you to keep talking, they're obviously listening. But often I've been in listening presentations with other people, like Arthur was the worst, and you just go on and on and on, and the people are already switched off. People's attention span's about that big now. So really look at where they're going. You know what I mean? Are they looking at their phone while you're talking to them? So try and get them involved. My tip was to make sure that we're leading our listing presentation, on a journey. So some real gold. Braith's obviously making sure he's got his market knowledge. Plusy, exactly the same. It's a small tip. I think the biggest thing I got out of that is that 9 years, I think Brodie, Plusy was pretty similar. We talk about grand final day, like no team turns up on grand final day without practicing. And, I think as an industry, and even Jakey and I, have you done your calls? Have you done your drops? You've done this, you've done that, you've done this, you do all this activity. We've all had runs where we've lost 3 or 4 listings in a row, all that hard work, all that grind, just because you weren't prepared in a listing presentation. And don't blame it on fees, don't blame it on colors, don't blame it on fucking elders, blame it on yourself. It's you lost it. All right, you lost it. You weren't good enough. That's as simple as that. Now, sometimes you're coming second and you're never going to get it. I'm not saying that you're always going to win everything, but you have to take full responsibility if you don't get that listing. Batesy, do you agree?
No, 100%. It's like, it comes down to the connection.
The connection. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, peoples. I really appreciate spending a little bit of time with you today. Great. And like we said, we were really well prepared for today. We knew it was a very important listing presentation chat today. And we've been, I really enjoyed catching up with you the last few days and working on that. So thanks, Batesy. Have a good day. Bye, mate. Thank you, guys. Bye. Thanks, mate.
viewers.